Yo, this just escalated rather quickly. What would you do if I told you that the White House and the administration, through the leverage and pressure that's being put on Venezuela right now, just halted 700,000 barrels of oil to China, our number one geopolitical adversary in the entire planet? Yep, so much for this only about the oil and money thing. It turns out this was a strategic move, which is already shocking a whole lot of people. I'm going to walk you through the entire thing, guys. This is a bigger macro environment than what these lefties want you to think that it is. All right. Of course, you can follow me on X at Braden LOA. This is the pre-show to our live show. Goes on every night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Please check us out there every single night. Always good. Sarcasm, humor, news, analysis, commentary. It's all there. But for now, let's focus on this pre-show. Here we go. This is incredibly important. And you guys know I never bury the lead on you, but please send this out, comment, and share it out. Venezuela have stopped oil shipments to China since Nicolas Maduro's removal. Before the crisis, Venezuela sold on average 700,000 barrels a day to China. That's coming from Reuters. Do you understand what 700,000 barrels of oil that was coming in on a daily basis, evaporating, does on a pressure standpoint to China? Where they need all the oil to run the manufacturing, they need all the oil to run the shipping, they need all the oil to do everything in their economy. Yeah, that's a whole lot of leverage for a whole lot of you better do what I want. Watch, I'm going to keep on laying this out for you guys. I showed you this right when it happened. Not this, sorry, the next one. Iran's calculations are scrambled by U.S. raid in Caracas. Same thing. Iran's in trouble. China's in trouble. Oh my God, everything just shifted. Turns out the idiot that everyone thought was an idiot isn't so much of an idiot, doesn't it? Anyway, here's what I was going to show you. This is what I showed you prior. This is a CNN clip showing a very important piece to the implications of this military piece of genius. Watch this.
Tell me how this news is being received in Iran. How's it being received in Russia? How's it being received in China?
All three, predictably, will deplore this kind of activity publicly. Privately, they will be impressed with the military capability here. I would argue none of those three militaries could have executed an operation like this. And again, we tend to just breeze by this. But the idea of finding, fixing, kidnapping, taking him out alive with his wife, no casualties on the side of the U.S. That's an extraordinary military operation. So I think while there will be a lot of public condemnation of the United States, predictably from those three nations, privately they'll be saying to themselves, that's a very capable military. That's not a bad thought to pop up in Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran these days.
Okay. Let's run through this really quickly and high level. The moron, that the left says is a moron, just managed to pull off almost a flawless victory, straight up Mortal Kombat style, showcase the prowess of our military, how incredible our military is, the technological advancements, the sheer power of our military, the prestige, the perfect execution, the timeliness, and the record-setting distribution of FAFO. Yep, we just reaffirmed dominance there, psychologically. We just reaffirmed dominance strategically, entire Western Hemisphere. We just acquired total and complete strategic oil reserve control and natural mineral rights control. Yeah, sounds like the idiot might actually have a little bit more to it than what the left promises, doesn't it? Because no one's telling you on the left how much of an advantage this gives you over our geopolitical allies and adversaries. Adversaries, not allies. No one's telling you that. No. It's just Donald Trump bad. Really? Okay. Maybe we can go on to another clip here because, again, this is the stuff that no one talks about, guys, and it boggles my mind no one talks about it. We'll dive into it deeper in my live show tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But this is another segment, very similar concept. China just lost 700,000 barrels of oil a day. Iran, same thing. Moscow, same thing. Yo, this is incredibly important stuff strategically. Watch.
Daniel, I'm glad that we booked you today because I think it's important that you help us out by giving our viewers just a basic understanding of where we are and how we got here when it comes to oil, ownership, also those sticky relationships internationally when it comes to this specific industry. Obviously, Mills just sort of laid it out, but can you start by just explaining why oil reserves in Venezuela are such a huge interest for the United States? And on top of that, why the president believes we're entitled to it?
Yeah, I think the expression "money makes the world go round" is incorrect. It's oil that makes the world go round. And when you look at some of the world's worst actors, what launches their ability to wreak havoc, whether it's Russia invading Ukraine, Iran fomenting terrorism, it's oil. Where America is fortunate that we have tremendous oil reserves, but a lot of the world's worst countries or worst and most aggressive actors also have a lot of oil reserves. And so when you think of Venezuela, the world's largest petroleum reserves, proven assets, who is their number one customer? Is communist China. Well, if you're China right now, if you're Xi Jinping, you've got to be really nervous, because are you going to get your oil imports? China doesn't have a domestic oil supply. So they rely on a lot of these bad actors. I mentioned Iran, I mentioned Venezuela and Russia. So I think the squeeze on oil isn't necessarily for American assets as much as it is harming America's enemies. And I think that's a really genius strategic move by the president.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought.
I'm just going to leave that up on the screen there for you guys. Where's the Venezuelan oil going? 41% to China. If you thought that this was about oil and taking the oil and seizing the assets and taking away from the Venezuelan people through the force of our military, that's not what just happened. What just happened was a complete and total acquisition of the levers of power to distribute this to our adversaries. China's main sources of oil are Iran, Venezuela, and Russia. Well, one of those, taking 41%, just got removed from the table. That's what you call a strategic advantage. They don't have domestic oil production. We do have domestic oil production. We now control the entire Western Hemisphere production of oil, and it's not going to go to our adversaries who are actively being a little bit of a pain in the butt and eyeing, like a hungry wolf at the door, our allies off the Chinese coast. Do you think this is all unrelated? It's not unrelated. It's completely and totally related. And you get rid of a socialist dictator, and you reclaim the oil of which the investment was coming from the United States 20 years ago. Yeah, it sounds like a win-win-win-win-win. All right, let's keep on going. Again, guys, it's bigger than this. And the people who say Trump is an absolute moron, I don't know. You guys might be being lied to. Just saying.
Brought that up, and let's keep that pie chart up, folks, in the control room so our people can see that, because China takes 41% of that oil. The United States gets 35%. So I wonder what the implications are for China at large. Does that U.S. control of Venezuelan oil put China in a tough spot now? And what could that actually mean for U.S.-China relations moving forward?
Absolutely. I mean, unlike the United States, China needs to import almost 100% of its oil. They have the world's largest manufacturing sector for a reason. It's because we've shipped a lot of it there. But you need oil to run those factories. You need oil to transport those goods across the Pacific. And without a domestic supply, they are reliant on their relations with other countries. And if Venezuela is off the table, China is now in a pinch. I think the same with putting the sanctions back on Iran. I think the president is very quietly tightening his grip on communist China without even mentioning him by name. He talks about his great respect for the country, his great relationship with Chairman Xi, but a lot of his actions have put China in a really precarious situation, and they are America's number one geopolitical threat and adversary. So I think.
Okay, you guys get the idea and the concept here. And come here, I'm going to bring it close for this part. If you wanted China to adjust the trade imbalances, and you wanted China to stop being an aggressor on the world stage, and you wanted China to back off of Taiwan in support of Iran, in support of Russia in a Ukrainian war, and you wanted Russia to get back in line, and you wanted Iran to stop being absolute dill holes about everything, don't you think a pretty good way to do that would be like, okay, I'll just take away your oil. 41% of consumption coming into China from Venezuela is now gone. Poof. 700,000 barrels of oil a day. Everybody's screaming on our side that it's not America first. I'm thinking they're completely and totally wrong. But you guys can tell me what you think in the comments below. And you can get prepped. Get your popcorn, get your beverage of choice ready. Get a nice blanket, because we're going to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where it's going to be so much fun. It's almost going to be illegal. But I will see you guys on that live stream. I'm Braden. Later.